Alright guys, Such Gobit here back again today. Christmas is fast approaching and today I wanted to talk about something that I talked about a few days ago, which was Ninja hopping into this whole Call of Duty drama effectively related to calling out the developers, calling out the professionals, saying that the game isn't in the best state. So a few days ago, you may remember I made a video talking about how Ninja had tweeted at the developers saying that the gunfight mode in Call of Duty Modern Warfare was great and they should bring it back. Then he had a back and forth with, I think it was David Michner at the time, talking about, you know, the way the games could be improved. David Michner then quoted one of Ninja's tweets and said, "Oh, I've made it, boys," because Ninja said, "I love you" to David Michner for saying that he would fix the game or, you know, implement the changes that Ninja was hoping to make. I talked about it at the time through the lens of what do the pros have to do to get recognized by the developers on Twitter. But Ninja, you know, he's obviously a very well-known individual from, you know, former competitive Halo, which I missed in the video I made a few days ago. Somehow slipped my mind, but I'll give credit to the individual that pointed that out in a couple of minutes' time. And also, of course, through the whole Fortnite and massive streamer, basically the biggest gamer on the planet right now is Ninja. So of course he has a lot of leverage, but what does it take for a COD professional to actually get some response for the developers? We would like to see that as well. So that's the lens that I made the video on a few days ago. Now he makes a video, effectively, it seems like he's calling out those pros to some degree who are making tweets like Morks, that we talked about these tweets yesterday, kind of talking trash on the game and how there's maybe a better approach, right? And there's definitely both sides to this argument we'll get into in the coming minutes. So like if you guys enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always. The YouTube algorithm and myself would greatly appreciate it. Wanted to show you guys this as well. We talked about a couple of days ago now the whole Activision hijacking the jerseys and the merchandise situation. This is what it looks like if you go through the Overwatch League. So thanks to Rattlesnake for pointing out this idea, something that slipped my mind really. So the jerseys are still quite nice, right? It seems like the organizations have their say in how it's designed. Of course, they have their own sponsors here like T-Mobile, Jack in the Box, etc. for the Outlaws and Dallas Fuel. But you know, everything is pretty generic, right? You can get a jersey, you can probably get a t-shirt, you can get like a snapback, but apart from that, everything's pretty much the same across all the organizations, but they do have still some nice stuff. So it's not like the merchandise is going to be disgusting with Activision taking the reins, but just wanted to show you guys what we could kind of expect for what we see over in the Overwatch League. So some nice stuff, but it is also pretty generic, right? So wanted to show you guys this as well. This is a straw poll I saw on Reddit a couple of days ago now. Choose the option that best fits you about COD Modern Warfare. Of course, you guys watching the video, you know, it's lovely to see, right? The views have been still really solid lately, despite the interest in the game, I guess, right now not being as great. So thanks a lot for that. But yeah, the highest option here, which kind of surprised me, I've stopped playing the game, I've stopped watching competitive. Honestly, apart from me making these videos, that kind of applies to me. I don't really watch any Modern Warfare streams or like tournaments or anything like that. I did at the start, but now I'm just really not into it. I still clicked on this category given I make these videos, but you know, it's really kind of sad to see. Hopefully when the league starts, I'll get some more interest back into the game, and hopefully things will turn around over the next couple of months. Wanted to show you guys this as well. Michael B. Jordan, of course, being from the UK, I thought, yo, Michael Jordan, is this real? But Michael B. Jordan, of course, a very well-known actor. He's most probably well-known for Creed and Black Panther, of course. But Michael B. Jordan is this guy. This is an article here from adweek.com, and he joins the Call of Duty League as an esports investor. Now, they talk about the Call of Duty League here. It's kind of both the Call of Duty League and the Overwatch League, because Michael B. Jordan from New York, he is invested in Andbox, as in that tweet we just saw. You guys may remember when the New York announcements came out, all the pros that played on the New York team were saying, the New York Subliners, of course, were saying, you know, welcome to the Andbox family, glad to be a part of it. So they're the new multi-franchise esports organization backed by Sterling VC, the owners of the New York Mets. They own the Excelsior and they own the Subliners. So those are effectively what Michael B. Jordan is investing in. Yeah, it's pretty interesting, as he says here. They cared about the New York culture. They wanted to make sure they got it right, said Jordan, known for his roles in Apollo Creed and Killmonger. I'm from Newark, New Jersey, grew up in Manhattan with Andbox. I felt like they really cared about New Yorkers and being authentic to the city. So a pretty interesting article. I'll leave it linked down below for you guys. And a couple of things on the Dallas Empire then before we get into this Ninja situation. This is the first MB team house on the left in 2010, which honestly pretty damn snazzy. But this is what they're looking at today, the new headquarters. Is this the whole, what exactly am I looking at here? But anyway, this is the tweet that Hastro does, the new HQ on the right. It's been an amazing 10 years in between. Let's keep dreaming bigger, and hopefully Envy and Call of Duty will continue to grow with the upcoming franchise league, even though maybe it's looking a little bit sketchy right now. We'll have to see. Dallas Empire also launched this, just available through the end of the year if you guys are a Dallas Empire fan. beforehand. Just wanted to mention it, given that Activision is going to be taking over all the merchandise, as we talked about a couple of days ago, so might be well worth the getting for the organizations themselves, really, in the near future, because things like this reflective jacket, as they discuss it, will probably not be available when Activision are calling the shots. They won't have this amount of opportunity to really go crazy on the designs they're working with. So here we go, Kev Cunningham, thanks for pointing this out to me. I was aware, of course, that Ninja had played Halo competitively back in the day. It just kind of slipped my mind in that video, so thanks for Kev for pointing this out to me. We're not perfect, we all make mistakes. If I make a mistake, feel free to comment down below if you want to point something out to me, at me in it on Twitter. And yeah, of course, it's a former Halo champion, a real competitive game, and as we'll talk about in a second, Crim6 did a comment related to it. So here we go, this is the Ninja video he does. I'll probably share a minute and a half of this of you, when he really talks. Initially, it's not so sure whether he's talking about COD Pros, but about a minute and a half in, you can really see how he's focusing this on COD Pros and some of the tweets.
I want to do a quick video for all the content creators out there to kind of clear up my opinions and some of the statements I've made about people who are negative towards video games or just anything in general, especially when it is your entire, essentially, career and your job. I don't think a lot of content creators, I don't think a lot of influencers realize the power that they have. And honestly, the influence that they have. If you are not enjoying something about a video game, doesn't matter what game it is, Call of Duty, Fortnite, Halo, whatever, there are positive ways to go about it, expressing your opinion. And when you just kind of tweet something or say something on Instagram and Twitter, I'm not talking about saying something on stream. Like, after you die, if you rage and you yell and you say, man, this game fucking sucks. Like, that's literally just like heat of the moment gamer shit, right? It's totally different. But when you take the time to go out of your way to post on social media and without, full context or really explaining what you don't like about something, for example, just saying that, oh, the game effing sucks. Tweet it out, boom. It's only hurting you. It's only hurting you, it's only hurting the game, it doesn't help anyone. You're not going to get more viewers from that. The game isn't going to get more players from that. People aren't going to see you talking shit about Call of Duty, and then all of a sudden Call of Duty is going to get more players, more viewers. If anything, the only thing that's going to happen is it's just going to take away from it. That's it. Nothing good happens from it at all. Except for maybe since we live in a rage culture where everyone wants to hop on board of negative shit, you just get a bunch of retweets and favorites and a bunch of likes. So if you're farming for that, then good for you. But as a content creator, as an influencer, you guys have so much more power. And you guys, I feel like a lot of people, including myself sometimes, I'm guilty of this as well. People you can express your opinion in a positive way. For example, if you don't like the current Fortnite update because you don't like the lightsabers in the regular playlist, you can be like, man, really excited for, the lightsabers to be gone, which they are. It's a limited time mode.
So I thought it was a very interesting statement for him to come out to make, especially in the light of this tweet still being live. So I wanted to backtrack a couple of days to see Ninja. I feel like Gunfight was one of the best FPS, game modes to grace FPS. We talked about this, just under a week ago now, had this back and forth with David Mickner. And David Mickner says OSP will return at some point. It's a very limited time mode. Feel free to let it die in a burning fire with no backups of the file. So this is a Ninja statement that we just looked at, comes from a guy who said just last week, basically to the developers their game is trash, or at least this part of the game is trash. So maybe a symptom of his own criticism here, right? But anyway, wanted to go through some of the comments on the Reddit. This is what Crim6 comes back with, and this is of course related to what Kev just pointing out to me. So I think what he missed here, and I think that this is a fair point, right? Like Ninja comes out and says, look, don't go on Twitter and talk to the developers, say the game is trash, etc. We've seen many examples of professional players doing this, and of course it doesn't go down well with the developers, right? As he says, the individual raging in game is understandable and perfectly reasonable, I guess, but the criticism on Twitter maybe is going a little bit too far. At the same time, I think that this is a great comment by DG the Best here, really. Like during the beta, a lot of pros were saying, I kind of enjoy this game, but there's definitely some things I hoped could be dealt with, right? The game, honestly, in the beta, I was like, okay, it's not great, but there's definitely potential here to improve. At the same time, the beta is effectively going to be the final game, so I wasn't incredibly confident. And as he says here, really, as the rages start building up, as it's become more and more obvious, then Infinite Warfare really don't care for making too many changes. They have talked about spawn changes, but a lot of the other issues with the games, like the hard points and the maps more generally, have not really been addressed and not really been fixed. And it doesn't seem like the pros have a good avenue to get in here. But Crim6's response responses as follows. Tyler was there, so this is Ninja. When the Halo pros saw the direct effect of bitching about the game, imagine going from Halo 3 to Halo Reach, it sucked, and the players let people know. The pros basically finished the kill for the competitive scene by bitching about it. Game wasn't great, but he has a point about complaining. It helps no one. And I think this is fair, right? I can understand the frustrations of the pros at the current time. But then again, you know, as Crimsic says, he was a former Halo professional himself before he moved over to Call of Duty in the early days, you know, when Ninja was kind of around the scene as well. So he's seen it from both sides, right? The complaining doesn't really help anyone. It doesn't bring anyone new into the scene, and you know, it doesn't really seem to be having an effect on the game, right? If there were channels behind the scenes, I could understand the pros going through those channels, but we have heard that they don't really have those channels with the developers. So are they doing the right thing or not, right? It gives us stuff to talk about over here on the channel, but is it for the best of the game? Who really knows? You know, is it bringing to the developers' attention? Because I can imagine if I was a Joe Seeker or a David Mickner, and I don't really care particularly about the competitive community, you know, is this, is the pros tweeting about this gonna give a signal to Activision to, you know, get Infinity Ward to get their head in the game for the competitive side when the league does begin in January? Hopefully that's the case, but are these tweets that some of the pros are doing having that impact? Very difficult to say, and who knows, to be honest. They may well not be. They may well just be causing the negative attribute of pushing people away from the game. As Ninja says, they're not bringing any new fans in by doing these tweets. They're just trying to improve the game from a competitive standpoint for, I guess, the sake of their own living, but also, I guess, to make the game more entertaining and more enjoyable for the fan base. So I can see both sides of the argument here. I'm you know, intrigued to see where you guys fall down in the comment section below. And some other comments here I wanted to go through from Aches' dad. This video is a hit and miss. Generally speaking, he has a good idea, and his approach suggests may well be viable for other games under other developers. However, every guy in this subreddit and almost every other guy, even on Modern Warfare, knows that the Infinite Warfare devs don't really care, especially about the competitive play. And, you know, he mentions David 5-minute Wonderman Mickner, because I remember he came out on Twitter and said, oh, I could fix that in 5 minutes if you guys actually let me know, which is interesting. And yeah, it honestly does seem like the developers don't really have the best presence talking to individuals and, you know, community members on the subreddit about the state of the competitive scene. I can understand the frustration from us as the community and also the professional players, but at the same time, probably some of the tweets they're doing calling out the developers saying XYZ is awful, it isn't really giving the developers a reason to think, oh yeah, I should go and, you know, go out there and communicate with these guys. So, you know, understandable. The developers are literally clueless, lazy, and non-responsive. I think this is easy to say from a competitive standpoint. I'm sure as a casual player, you think that, okay, they've made some decent changes and they're leaving the game in the state it is right now, fixing the shotgun and, you know, all of that stuff. For competitive, obviously, it's not the state we would like to see. So as I say, I can understand the issues that the competitive players are seeing, and I can understand the frustrations in the community, and it's frustrating for me, right? I wish I could actually enjoy to play this game. This may be genuinely the first Call of Duty I've ever bought that I regret buying. For the 60 quid I paid for it, I have not got that much utility out of it. If the game improves, then maybe I will, right? But I've gone on to playing other games, which is unheard of, given it's only December, which is something that just never happens to me in Call of Duty, and maybe it's made me reconsider exactly what I think next year. But yeah, those are the thoughts for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you're new. As always, I would greatly appreciate it. Leave your thoughts down below, as I'm sure you will, and as we look forward to Christmas over the coming days. Thanks for watching as always. I'll see you next time.